Thank you for your company this morning. Our top story, they've been fierce rivals for decades, but Ford says it may be able to take on axed Holden workers when the iconic brand shuts down operations in Australia.
Joining us now from General Motors HQ in Port Melbourne is Pat Murrell. Pat, how many jobs will be lost and when will they go?
Laura, absolutely devastating news for workers, but not completely unsurprising for many. 600 jobs will be axed over the next few months as General Motors winds up the design and engineering operations of Holden. 200 will remain on shore during a transition period, but eventually they'll be phased out as well, bringing an end to the Holden era. That began all the way back in 1856 when Holden was just a saddle factory. That was before it went on to become the car manufacturer that Australians know and love. It went on to produce icons of Australian motoring like the Turana, the Monaro and of course the Commodore. Things have been going downhill for the past 2 decades. It hasn't been a market leader since 2002. In 2013, Holden announced it would cease manufacturing operations in Australia, and that's despite receiving $2 billion worth of government subsidies over the years. Now, this latest decision has angered many. It's drawn wide criticism, including from the Prime Minister, who's accused General Motors of squandering an Australian brand.
Of course I'm disappointed, not surprised, but I think the fact that they took money from Australian taxpayers for all those years just to let the Holden brand wither on their watch, I think is disappointing.
A former Holden racing legend Mark Scaife was shocked and disappointed to hear about the news. Here he was on Sky News last night.
I just never in my lifetime thought that there'd be a day where we would see Holden move out of this country. And although there's been recent signs since the end of the manufacturing sector and the way that has worked in terms of their marketplace and their market share, etc., there's been some worrying signs. But the day that it happens, it still doesn't make it any less sad.
General Motors says that it was a difficult decision to make, but inevitable after exhausting all options. It's outlined some of the reasons it's chosen to withdraw from operations, including a poor SUV range, a failure to adapt to changing market trends, too many dealerships, and acting as a market leader rather than as a market challenger.
Pat.
This was not a decision we took lightly. It was an agonising decision. With a brand as iconic as Holden, clearly this decision could only be taken after extensive deliberation and after exhausting numerous options for continuing operations.
General Motors has published a letter in most newspapers this morning advising the 1.6 million remaining Holden customers that they will continue to receive warranty support at least for the next decade.
Pat, thank you.